This is my honest, brutally honest review of Agri-Fab. This thing is simply a manual contraption that will allow you to rake leaves kind of like a lawnmower, much faster. It's actually very simple. There's no machines or electronics to it. Basically, you just push and then these two sweepers start turning and they sweep all the leaves in the front into this bag, which then you can just take and dump wherever you want. Now, in this review, I'm going to tell you all the stuff that, after trying this out, that they don't show online. The bad stuff about it and the good stuff about this. This definitely saves a lot of time. It's so much easier than raking leaves, and you can cut a 5-hour job into a 1-hour job. And we have a large yard, so this is definitely the case. Now, there are some downsides to this that aren't really mentioned online. So the set expectations with reality, here's something that they don't mention. It does get caught up sometimes. That means sometimes it will clog and it will not work properly because it's not set to the right setting, or it just can't take in the heap of leaves. So it really depends on your lawn. If your lawn is something that's level like this and there's not too many leaves on the ground, it's definitely doable. If it's something that's massive, where it's just this giant 5-foot heap of leaves just based off the terrain, maybe it's an elevated or hilly terrain, this machine may not be the best contraption for you. Now, one thing that helps for sure, there's two things. The first one I found is just a little bit of manual grease work. Sometimes if it does get caught, the trick I found to do is to take one of your feet, put it on one of the wheels, and just push it forward. And that just kind of gets the gears going, the sweepers moving, and then it just starts moving again and you're on your way. That I kind of figured out on my own. It works wonders. Again, keep in mind that like 60 to 80% of the time, it's going to work very well. It just flows and turns. And I will show you how it works in the real world right after. But the second method is what they installed here. So basically, low is at the top and then high is at the bottom. Basically what this does is it opens it up so that there's more space. So there's more space for the sweepers to get at. So I set it to the highest setting right here at the bottom so that there's the most space from the top of this to the bottom of the floor, so that if there's a lot of leaves, it won't get stuck. If you want to set it to low, you just kind of turn it to loosen it a bit, and then you just pull it up to the setting you want. As you can see, if I put it to low, it gets really low towards the ground here, and this is probably going to clog this up and make it stop, unless you have some type of terrain or very little leaves to sweep up. So now let's see this in action, not just on the pavement where it's obviously going to work, but in this setting, as well as a setting where there's a heap of leaves and where it doesn't work so well, and kind of showing you what we've done to combat this. So here we go. As you can see, it works beautifully here, and there's already a good portion of leaves that were in here that weren't in there before. Keep in mind it started off empty. So this is kind of how it works. If there's barely any leaves on the ground to begin with, like this, it kind of helps, but it won't sweep up the stragglers. So it will not completely eliminate the need for a rake if you want a completely polished, no leaf ground. However, if you're dealing with something like this where there's more leaves everywhere and you just kind of want to go in there like here and just sweep them all up or most of them up in one go to have at least modest ground, it's so easy. You just walk You barely put any effort into it, and the bag is already filling up, and it's starting to leave a path. It's kind of like a lawnmower in a way. I think it's an incredible invention. I will leave a link in the description to this if you are interested in buying this off Amazon. If you purchase off Amazon at no extra cost to you, I will get a commission if you go through my link. But I want to give the brutally honest opinion of this. So now we are going to turn to that area where it will not work as well because you have thicker spots of leaves. So let me show you what happens if we go into the thicket, into this thicker area. So what I'm already starting to notice is that it becomes slightly harder to push this machine forward. Again, keep in mind it is manual, so it's not electronic. Now, if you're looking for a workout, if you want a little bit of a leg workout, a little cardio, well, it can't really hurt. It's actually kind of helpful for that. But it does get harder to push. Now, also notice that the front is starting to pile up with leaves. Sometimes once it does pile up a lot, I'll show you, you have to sweep the front into the back. If there's a huge thing here, of course, you can't let that clog this up. One huge problem is, of course, with just kind of like a vacuum, if it does get stuck, you're in for a little bit of trouble. Nothing that's unfixable, but that's an issue too. Another thing is really make sure you tighten up all the screws in the machine when you're assembling it, especially the ones that hold on to the sweepers. I have run into a situation where because of the amount of brute force the sweeping's doing, and the tension and friction, it unhinged some of the screws, and you don't want to lose your screws in this messy pile of leaves. Luckily, we caught it immediately, and we found the screw in a pile of leaves, and we made sure it was super tight from then on. But just keep in mind, like every season after you pack this up for the next year, before you put it into packaging, make sure you look at all the screws in the sweepers and tighten them up, because if you don't and you lose the screw in this heap, it's a mess. So now it's starting to fill up, and as you can see, there's still a lot of space in the back of the bag, but the front's starting to fill up. So all you have to do is kind of sweep it into the back. Now keep in mind that this isn't as big as a hassle as you might think, because I mean the bag's already filled to begin with. So it doesn't take much of a trip for this bag to fill up. That could also be another downside to it. If you have a lot of leaves like this, man, is this still much more convenient than raking it in and putting it in some bag or wheelbarrow. But it does fill up fairly quickly, so of course it would be better from a consumer standpoint if this bag was like twice the size somehow. Okay, now we're getting to a point where we're in the thick of the leaves, and it's getting really hard to push this thing. Let me just kind of show you. I'm pushing like maybe 3 times as hard as I was before, and it's stuck. As you can see, I'm pushing, but the wheels are not moving anymore. The whole machine is moving, but the wheels are not. So this is an element of 2 things in this case, but either or could happen. If the bag is full, which is the case, or if there's just so many leaves and it's about 3 feet high or 2 feet high, sometimes the wheels fail to grasp the ground and it just kind of floats here. So I'm going to go empty this, and then we're going to come back here and I'm going to show you how this happens when the bag is empty. Now this happens too. If it gets too full, then it just sometimes unhinges off the thing here. That's not a huge deal. You just kind of put it back in. Then to unload it, you just kind of tip it upside down. Once again, if you are feeling grateful for this brutally honest consumer review, I will leave a link in the description of this YouTube video, which will lead you to my Amazon link for this product. If you choose to purchase it off there, I will get a commission at no extra cost to you. Of course, if you don't still want to buy this, but you don't want to give me a commission, of course, you can obviously go onto the site directly or somewhere not using my link. You can Google it and so forth. But obviously, I don't want you to do that if possible. So obviously, there's good and bad to this product. But now we're going to, okay, sometimes this gets screwy. Now I'm going to kind of do it it's hard to do with one hand while the other's holding the camera, so I'm just going to put this down. Alright, we're off to the races. Again, this overall, I think if you have any type of moderately level terrain with a moderate amount of leaves, this could be worth your investment. It's such a simple contraption that it doesn't take a lot to fix or to identify what the issue is if it's not working. And obviously, since it's so simple, you can just keep it maintained really well. Now keep in mind, if this takes you like 10 hours to do a full 10-acre yard, I really still think this thing, I mean, look how simple it is. This thing will save you so much time. Like, it's so simple. Like in 10 seconds, you see that whole line there? I just cleaned it up. If it wasn't for me talking, this would be done even faster. So here we are in a situation where the leaves kind of go back again. And I kind of wanted to show you what happens if it gets too thick, like here. Here we have about, it's hard to see through the video camera, but that's about 1.5 foot of leaves. So it's very hard for the machine to do anything here because it's lost traction of the ground. So if you have any type of hilly elevation like this, where the hill kind of cascades into this valley here, and there's a pile up of leaves that are 2 feet or higher, this machine will not work well for that area. In that case, the rake is still the best way to go. Having said that though, there's vast areas here, you know, here and then above here, where this machine will get it done in a fraction of the time. The only other thing that I wish was better about this machine would be the unloading of it. Again, you can see it's just a plastic bag wrapped around a metal rod. It's clearly some type of minimal viable product design, first of its kind. But if this thing could actually, when you dump it, it was just much easier, that would be great too, because when I dumped it before, as you kind of saw, the machine kind of, it's not even a machine, the bag kind of unraveled, and then this kind of lost its way and got pulled all the way up here, and it was really hard to like thread the rod backwards, and it was just like a big mess. And this keeps falling off too when I unload it every time. So that's it for this review. Again, in the video description of this video, there will be a link to the product if you want to buy it. Thanks for watching. See ya.